much. I appreciate you guys very much. And PC, my camera is.
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus.
So I'm very, very glad to be a part of this event today. So I'm so grateful to be invited. So thank you so much, talking to all people. Like Crystal mentioned, I am a survivor of domestic violence. So before I always speak, I always say that what I'm getting ready to share right now can be very, very triggering. Because I'm going to be real with you all about what I've experienced. So if anyone needs to step away, you know, we'll find you, okay? But I'm about to tell you some things about my journey and why I'm so passionate about what I do, because what I've experienced is horrific. Anyone who's being abused, whether they are being abused emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, it's wrong. And when that person is coming up out of these type of abuses, they need support. And not just support for the moment, because healing in itself takes time. But I always, try to be an author. Okay, so I'm an author, I'm a playwright, I do empowerment coaching, I'm a religious abuse coach, religious abuse recovery coach, which is an upcoming field of study. And it's a very important field of study, because we're not saying, at least the spaces that I am in, we're not saying that religion is bad, we're just saying no harm. No harm, please. So I always say, sometimes in the spirit of being a writer, I can show you better than I can tell you. So I'm gonna break down my journey for you like this. There we go. It was stuck. All right. Woo! 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 Didn't know I had them hands, did you? Didn't know I had them hands now. Wait a minute now. You know that, did you? Woo! A basketball game. Really? See, after I somehow pulled myself together from that moment, I called my oldest brother, Derek, to come get me. I told him about what I was getting ready to do and that I was getting ready to take my life, and asked him to come pick me up. But Derek said that he was busy and that he couldn't come get me. So he also told me just how beautiful I was and that God doesn't want me to take my life. Well, somehow I managed to make it home. But Derek must have told my husband, Calvin, about what had happened, because you see, the next day, Calvin, he took the gun away. And that weekend, he took the gun back to the shop that I had purchased it from. Well, on the way home, Calvin got so upset with me because I spent $200 for that gun and we only got $50 back when we returned it. So in the truck, he says to me, "You should have bought a Glock instead of a 38. He didn't care that I was getting ready to take my life. But hope came. That's what I thought. Because my oldest brothers and my little younger one, the three of them, they took me to a basketball game a few weeks later. Now I know that sounds like a basketball game, what? But see, this was the first time that we had all got together as adults, as siblings, hanging out. So I pictured that my brothers, the two oldest and the youngest one, would pick me up in a limo. We go out to dinner, then we have courtside seats. There was no limo, no dinner. We had nosebleed seats. And then afterwards, they just hugged on me and said, "All right, girl, we love you." And they sent me right on home to my abuser. Family doesn't do things like that. You see, family nurtures, protects, and stands up for one another, even in the toughest of times. What you just heard is a portion of the play that I just performed at Fonseca Theater. It is a part of a bigger journey, that of creating a documentary about my journey surviving domestic violence. So when I speak, I also make sure to let people know about my faith-based community, my background, because that plays a big part in this. So being the fact, I call myself a PMO. Long story short, it means physically in and mentally out. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, so I do not represent the worldwide organization of Jehovah's Witnesses when I speak, but that is a community that a lot of things took place within. So what I'd like to ask you guys today is, who is here with a family member? Supporting a family member today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Because as I mentioned before, once you leave an abusive situation, you're fighting to get free. That's just the start. You got grief to go through. You got to get right in here. And you need that continued support to do that. And I hope, and then if you have to do going through a divorce and legal stuff, oh my goodness, that's a whole nother story for another day in itself, my goodness. So I wanted to say thank you to all the supporters that are here, because that makes a world of difference for individuals. A world of difference. Now for me, unfortunately, domestic violence is in my family tree, and it's very, very generational. So this is something that goes back to my mother's grandfather, even before the family became Jehovah's Witnesses. So it's very, very entrenched, strongly entrenched. But more importantly, what I wanted to talk about today, what I was telling Crystal about, I wanted to really advocate for those professionals who work in the domestic violence spaces and encourage them to please, please, please think about your biases. Think about your biases, both implicit and explicit. And a good way to do this is Harvard University has a test. It's called the Harvard Project Implicit. And you can actually take these tests to just see if you have any prejudices against anyone of a certain religion, well, some religions, or race, or genders, and so forth. So what I'm saying today is, when you have all these organizations that say we don't discriminate. We don't discriminate based off of age or sexual orientation or religion or race. I'm saying, is it really like that? Please think about that. Because if you don't have the ability to help someone as a professional, then you have the responsibility and the ethical responsibility to refer to somebody else who can. So I say all that to try to bring it kind of full circle to a few experiences that I've had, and I'm gonna shut my mouth. So one experience I had was reaching out to an individual in a domestic violence space within the past couple of years, actually, because even as a survivor, I started having some other issues and realizing that I didn't deal with grief. I had not allowed myself to grieve. I just kind of kept going, like we do it sometimes as mothers and single mothers. You just keep going. But I had to realize you cannot skip grief. You have to go through the anger, the depression, the bargaining. Oh my goodness, the bargaining with God. Oh my goodness, the questioning of God. There's so many things. I had not allowed myself to grieve. So I found a support space outside of this state, actually. And this wonderful, educated professional and survivor herself spent some time with me one-on-one, empowering me and talking to me. And she actually is the first person who brought out to me a very important key to my healing, which ultimately led me to be a religious abuse recovery coach now. She said to me, you gotta break it apart. What your husband did to you, or your ex-husband did to you, is one abuse. What happened to you in your religious community is another abuse. You've only been dealing with this one. You gotta take care of this one too to heal. And it took some time, but eventually I did. Went to Indiana Western University and found some resources that I needed to help me get there. But at the end of this wonderful hour-long conversation, she says to me, because after all, I don't want you people coming after me. I go, ooh, well, who is you people? What does that mean, you people? Because even though I know she did not mean it and it slipped out, that's really how she felt. So that hurt my feelings, you know. Here's another one. I'm going a little bit deeper into my trauma, okay? A part of it is that when I was 19 years old, I knew that something was wrong, okay? Because you see, baby daddy had actually kicked in my door and attacked me physically, right? Got arrested, all that good stuff. So in the prosecutor's office, I got a pamphlet to go to Domestic Women's Counseling Services, and I went. Well, this is an organization that I spent 10 years going to these appointments on and off, on and off, on and off. No, they're not therapists, they are trained professionals. So at one point in this journey, I was talking to a professional about sexual abuses. I had some concerns. And this is an individual who was probably about 10 years older than me. I was about 19 or 20 at this time. This professional was a white woman, is a white professional. So there's that age difference there, and then there's that cultural difference there. And I'm trying to explain to this individual that I'm scared and that I don't know what to do. The other counselor that I was working with, she heard some things in my journey and was like, I really want you to talk to this individual who does more sexual abuse things and abuse with children. So as I'm telling her, this individual, that what's going on with me in my situation, I'm saying I'm very, very scared about the daycare that I'm taking my child to. I don't know if my child is being abused or not. I just don't know what to do or what to think. And she asked me, well, why would you say that? I said, because the husband is gay. And she got immediately offended. And our appointment didn't even last 1 hour. It was ended abruptly. What she needed to understand and to take time to question and find out more about the situation. Because what I was trying to say, I couldn't get out in words. What I was trying to say, I didn't even know the words for. So what she could have done, hindsight 2020, was to ask those questions like, well, why do you think that that's a problem if he's gay? Well, he's married to somebody else I know. Now, this individual was someone who I knew all my life. Always knew him to be a great dad, a funny individual. We even had book study every Monday. He came to our home and was a part of that space religiously. So what she needed to do was to understand what I was trying to say. Because what I'm trying to say is, no, he's not gay. He has abused a young boy who's not very much older than me. And I am scared. And I don't know what to do. And I don't know if my child is safe here. And I don't know where else to take her. And I'm confused. And no one's talking to me. At this point in my life, I was disfellowship, which means that I was, people call it shunning or whatever, but it means that you're not able to talk to this community of people because you've been disciplined. So long story short, it's in my book, I got disfellowship when I was 17 years old and pregnant. So that put me in a space where I didn't communicate much with my faith-based community, but in this situation that had occurred, it was very controversial. So I'm left here without community, not being able to talk to my mother, my dad, my grandma, my aunties, my cousins, and I have a situation going on with my child, and I don't even know what all this is. And then another person who's a peer just says to me, we don't have to worry about it, okay? We have girls. He likes little boys. So we can take our daughter here to this daycare and everything's gonna be fine. I tell you that story because that's something that haunts me sometimes. Not knowing if you made a mistake and you continue to, out of ignorance, take your child to some place because it's the only place you knew. In your mind, you can't picture this not being a safe place to take your child. So what I'm saying and telling you this journey is, as professionals, we gotta be aware of our biases. And when we're dealing with communities of people, whether it's based on sexual orientation or whatever, we have a responsibility and an ethical responsibility to learn whether we agree or not, and then to refer. So listen, please check me out on social media. Okay, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. My book is called Let Me Tell It. I have a few pamphlets if you're interested, just to get some contact information on me. And it also talks about the play that I did and more about my journey as a religious abuse recovery coach and my interest in drama therapy, because I truly did talk myself to healing. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to speak. And definitely reach out to me and look for me as I'm producing this documentary as well, because I'm definitely looking for some more spaces to speak and share my journey. So Crystal, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.